Oh yeah. I'm gonna hear it all crusty. Woohoo!
What is that?
That's hardener.
What are you doing here today, Dino?
Gonna pinstripe this Lowrider bike, setting up some guideline tape just for the body lines that we're gonna throw in here.
What's the tape do?
Tape gives you guidelines, so when you're running your pinstripes, you know, you just run it alongside there to give you a good idea of the style of the body that you're trying to mimic, so that way it complements the curvature of the bodywork done on here. I mean, you could freehand this if you wanted to, you know, that's fine as well. But if you got time to, you know, lay out a little bit of tape, it's always a good investment, because then you're getting a pretty good understanding of where the lines should be specifically. You get a better end result, in my opinion. Different pinstripers will do different things, but that little extra push can give you better results. So that's why I do this when I have the time. If I was at a show or something along those lines, I wouldn't necessarily want to invest the time to do that, because, you know, time is money at a show. And it depends what kind of show too. But like I said, once again, it's like, yeah, you got time to put down a little bit of tape, you know, you get a better result, because the body lines will flow with the tape, and you'll be able to see that first before you actually throw down any color. So that's pretty much it right there. Okay, those are the two colors you wanted?
Yep.
All right,
That and orange.
cool.
What kind of paint is this?
That is One Shot sign painter's paint. It's pretty much specifically what I use, unless I'm going to use something else that's going to require to be cleared over pretty quick. Then I would use a house color. You know, there's a bunch of different urethanes you can do. The cool thing about this one right here is that there's no need for catalyzation. It's already catalyzed, so as long as you keep air away from it, it won't catalyze in the bottle. That's why I mount them upside down, to keep air from flowing up in here. Even though there's air in here, it's not evaporating, so you don't have the issue of it skinning over. And if you do, it's just a little small skin, not like what they do in the cans, which it skins over 100% of the time. They used to have a product called Paint Save, which isn't on the market right now, sadly. If you can find it, that stuff is great, because then you put a little drop in your cans and it'll prevent it from skinning over. I got a few different types. Right now I'm gonna use a sword, but I want a short sword because I'm not pulling any really long body lines. I'm just gonna be pulling like little small curves. So normally I'd use a Dago. If I was gonna use a long liner, it'd be for like the side of a car. I'd probably use like this hand over right here. I could use a Dago as well, but I think I'm gonna use an Excalibur, because it's real short hair, and I don't need a lot of paint to pull a lot of long lines, and I could turn really quick on a dime with this. So that's what I'm gonna pull.
I like it. I like it. Picasso.
All right, so let's get this out of the way.
Ah, what is this solution?
This right here, man, it's evaporating. I have it in my car, so it's this paint thinner. You can use mineral spirits as well, but paint thinner is the cheapest. You can find at most of your hardware stores. Even Walmart will have it. There's odorless as well. I'm not particularly fond of it because since it's odorless, that means they've taken something out of it to weaken the formula and it doesn't clean as well. But that's just me. I mean, people have their opinions of it, so I just use it for a brush cleaner because you want to make sure you get all the paint out of the brush. Reason being is because in between your jobs, you're supposed to oil your brush, and we have in the freak shop we have a snake juice, and that's our brush oil, and it keeps the paint that's left over, any residual paint, even if you might not see it, it might still be in the ferrule somewhere down here and it can leach out.
What's the ferrule?
Ferrule is this piece right here. Some of them are made out of brass, some of them are made out of twine and wrapped and then varnished over, but it's basically what holds the hair to the brush. Some of them are mechanical, clamped on. Some of them, like I said, are just wrapped on, and the purpose is to hold the hair on the brush. Well, the hair goes down in there, but so does the paint as well, like a reservoir inside of ink, like a fountain pen. So then if you don't get all that paint out, which is difficult to do, you know, sometimes what I'll do is I'll get some clips and I'll hold it and I'll suspend it, and then it'll draw out the paint in between the jobs. So I'm pretty sure that I got the majority of the paint out of there, and then I add my brush oil, and it prevents it from catalyzing inside the hair. Because once you get this thing, you know, exposed to catalyzed paint, it's real difficult to remove the paint. There's processes that can help it, you know, depending on how long you've had it in there and how much paint in there. But in between jobs, and even between like conversations, if you're doing a job at a show, a lot of people have questions. You don't want to leave your paint suspended in the air, because on the brush it's still going to dry. It's either going to dry on the brush or it's going to dry on the surface of whatever you're striping on. So if you got a long conversation you're going to engage in, just clean your brush out, and then you can go from there. Have, you know, suspend it in some reducer. There's other trays you can use, or you can do the suspension method that I use, you know, and just keep the brush wet. That's the key. If it's the brush is dry, it better be clean, and if it's clean, then you better oil it so it goes right back to wet again, and that'll give you the most life out of your brush. Stop it from sliding. That's a throw tape.
For the one shot?
Yeah, you can use urethane hardener to speed up the drying process. Just a universal one will work. One Shot has its own hardener as well. They both are great. I find that the urethane helps it dry faster though.
Yeah.
And since it's watery, it helps it flow out.
So what are you doing there?
I'm gonna use a Freak Flow. More than just reducer. This stuff works well with the One Shot and enamel paints in general as a flow out agent, and increases the sheen, so you get a glossier flow out of it, and it dries faster. You know, but for this, I want to dry a little bit quicker, so I'm going to add a few drops of just regular urethane hardener. And you don't need much.
Literally just drops.
Yeah,
right,
that's good enough right there. And when you're adding these, it changes the formula of the paint. So understand that now you're dealing with something that's going to be a little bit thinner than what you're used to. But you know, if you are not a stranger to pinstriping, you understand that reducing is part of the process of pinstriping. Some will need to be reduced more than others, so just be cautious and mindful of that, you know. And when you're reducing, it also can increase the transparency of certain colors, because certain colors are already transparent out of the bottles, like certain yellows and certain greens. So anyhow, I'm left-handed, so I'm going to start on the left side on the top, coming down, and then following up on the bottom of meetings, because you don't want to drag your hand through fresh paint. So be mindful of that when you're actually pinstriping.
Making stuff out of silver.
You want me to talk about this or no?
Yeah.
All right. Now we're just pulling off the tape, as you know, as we got the pinstripes already on there, and you can see kind of like the final results. Bikes are hard because the surface. I mean, look how shifty they can be. They're not really sitting still. There's an old saying in the pinstriping community: if it sits still long enough, you can stripe it. When it's moving, it's very difficult. Just ask any tattoo artist if they can stripe someone while they're moving, or tattoo someone while they're moving. It's pretty difficult.
Even cutting hair.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah, and if you guys noticed, I switched brushes during this job because I just felt comfortable with the one I'd been using. This other one was just a little bit too touchy for me.
Well, we forgot to record when we were doing the curly cues. So stay posted and we'll do it again. See you on the next one.